Now let's create our launch URL. This is by far the most detail-oriented and complicated part of the process. After we are done creating the launch URL, it should look something like this, but of course different because your URL will be unique to your course. In order for the URL to work, you have to pay close attention to all of the characters that go into your URL. Let's dissect the URL and build our own. The first part of our URL will be the URL of where your course is located or hosted. Generally, this is the URL you would send to people to take the course. My course is hosted on an Amazon S3, and this is its URL. Next, we need to append a question mark at the end of the .html, like so. Then, we'll put the word endpoint and an equal sign. After the equal sign, we'll have to put our endpoint URL. To find this, go to xLRS and then go to the page where we created our basic auth. We will need the endpoint URL to append to the equal sign. Copy and paste it on. Up next, we will be adding basic auth. This part is a little more tricky. We need to encode our username and password, also sometimes known as a secret. You can find that on the same page in xLRS that your endpoint URL is located. To encode our basic auth, we must use a base64 encoder. Navigate to the following URL. In the text field, paste in your username and append a colon onto it. Now append your password or secret onto the colon. Select encode. This is your basic auth. After the end of your endpoint URL, add an and sign and auth equals basic %20, and then add your basic auth that you just encoded. It should look a little like this. Now we have to add the actor and the actor's email. At the end of your basic auth, type the following. After the actor, we will add the registration. In order to get a registration, go to the following URL. Append and registration equals, and then your custom registration number to the end of the actor and the email. Next, we will add an activity ID. Append the activity ID with the &, activity _ID equals to the end of the registration. The activity ID is the ID you entered in your storyline. For instance, for mine, I used www.example.com/myactivity. Your URL should look a little like the following, but of course it will be different. The next step is we need to encode part of the URL. After your basic auth, copy from the & sign to activity _ID equals. Go to urlencoder.org to encode the URL and encode it. Replace the URL from your actor to the end with your new encoded URL. It should now look something like this. If anything at all is wrong with your URL, it will not work properly.